My guest is Steve Pao, General Manager of Security for Barracuda. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, Richard.
Steve, Barracuda has turned into a large company, public company now, and one with a plethora of products. So help us understand that spread of products and technology and solutions that Barracuda offers.
Sure. Barracuda's offering now a whole portfolio of both security and storage products. Our real aim is to simplify IT for those IT organizations where the individual IT guys just wear many hats.
Which is just about everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And we definitely see that in certain types of customers. Maybe we refer to them as the mid-market. So organizations between 100 and 5,000 users are one example. But we often see that characteristic apply in much smaller organizations, obviously, and even much larger organizations.
What's your overall approach to developing products for solving security problems?
Well, the overall approach is really to make the products very easy to use, very easy to deploy. We recognize that the kind of administrator that's actually utilizing Barracuda products, can't afford to go to lots of training and get lots of acronyms, after their names. Mm-hmm. And so we really designed the products to be used for, really those primary use cases.
Okay, and how does, a anti-spam appliance tie in with a firewall or storage appliance?
Well, it's really about protecting all internet threat vectors. And when we talk about threat vectors, that's really a way in. So for example, your threat vectors in your house might be an open window or an open door or an open garage door, or if you believe in Santa Claus, your chimney. And the same is really true of internet threats coming in, and we see some discrete threat vectors, your email, your website or your web applications, remote access into your networks, users browsing the web, the mobile internet, and the network perimeter itself. And so those are the six, and those are really it. And so really what we've done is aimed to put best of breed security solutions along all of those internet threat vectors to really provide what we call total threat protection.
Is there some synergy from the engineering and development of all those products?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we've done at Barracuda is we have developed what we call a common core. And so it turns out that every type of IT product needs a management framework. It is a management framework that consists of an operating system, a way to update firmware, maybe a way to monitor it, SNMP agents. And so we really start every Barracuda product with basically the stub of a management framework, and we add the specific functions on them. And so what that really does is that creates a commonality of experience, not just because things look the same, but because they are the same. It turns out that interacting with any kind of log in a Barracuda product works the same way because it's the same log viewing code. And so we've created those synergies not only on the discrete products, but also to have a central management umbrella. So we offer a cloud interface. We call it Barracuda Cloud Control, where you can log in.barracuda.com and manage all of your solutions, whether they're delivered as software as a service, physical appliance, virtual appliance, or even an instance in the public cloud.
So it's single pane of glass for your infrastructure.
That's right.
Yeah. What's the typical industry vertical that is most attracted to Barracuda products?
Well, we don't really necessarily target any industry verticals. We've targeted against specific use cases. However, there are some industry verticals that naturally do come to us. So, for example, there's a big portion of our customers who are in state and local government. We have a bunch in education. We have a whole set of smaller financial institutions, as an example, that use us. And I think that really what it is wherever we see a confluence of a lot of requirements, maybe a higher proportion of users to IT folks to support those users, and really constraints in budget. those are some of the areas that we see. Retail and manufacturing also tend to be pretty big for us for those same reasons.
What method do you use to get to market? Have you developed a good channel organization?
Absolutely.
Yep.
So we sell almost exclusively through a reseller network.
Okay.
In fact, we actually just launched a new partner program specifically designed to engender the support of the types of value-added resellers that really are looking to provide design-in solutions for their customers. We also have invested quite a bit in brand building. One of the things that makes Barracuda a little bit different is that a lot of organizations or IT vendors focus on selling to large enterprises, where the goal is just to hire salespeople with a Rolodex and basically hire salespeople to sell different stuff to people they've already sold to. Well, Barracuda today has over 150,000 customers throughout the world, and so it's not possible really to have Rolodexes in that context. And so we've put a lot of effort into trying to allow the customers that are interested in the types of solutions we sell find us. And so we've tried where possible to really engage in a lot of brand building types of exercises. And so we advertise in airports and on the radio. We do a number of sponsorships of sports teams. We spend quite a bit in online advertising to target the types of publications or even the types of Google search criteria that our customers may go after. And then we augment that with a set of activities that our channel partners can really take advantage of.
I can attest that the branding works because a decade ago, you may know, I went to work for a network security appliance vendor who will remain unnamed. And at the first cocktail party I attended after I took the job, I tried to describe to somebody what I was doing, and they said, "Oh, like Barracuda?" And that was exactly it. So kudos to you. What's the greatest challenge you see going forward? Because the space is getting a little frothy.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of products.
Absolutely. Well, I think that probably the biggest challenge is explaining the lessons that we've learned in the security industry. I think that one of the things that happens is that often what gets hot in security are organizations that are chasing threats. And I think that one of the things that we've learned now, Barracuda is now a 10-year-old company. We have seen that actually chasing threats isn't really a very, very long-term approach. I think back, for example, when Barracuda was first founded, the threat that everybody was chasing was like the magic packet attack. So all of a sudden, a bunch of deep packet inspection, DPI companies started coming out. So whether it was folks like ISS or Tipping Point or SourceFire and so forth, that was a very, very hot trend. One of the things that ultimately emerged, though, was that as those threats were being mitigated and new threats came about, those types of threats now became really a feature of network security, of the threat vector. So now we see IPS as a feature of a firewall.
Right.
As Barracuda got big in spam filtering, we started to hear a lot about things like email man in the middle of attacks. And there were a whole set of companies focused on email encryption. And so whether those were guys like PGP or Voltage or maybe PostX or some others, we've definitely now seen that email encryption has now evolved as part of a gateway. We include that for free with our spam filtering, just as we include IPS free with our firewalls. And then, a few years go down the line as we start getting through the rest of our product line, and DLP, because the insider threat becomes the big thing. And so all of a sudden we see like Vontu and Port Authority and Code Green and others, kind of come onto the scene. And today, what we're really seeing is that all of these DLP technologies are now incorporated into content security.
Right.
And so today, you fast forward today everybody's talking about advanced threat detection and advanced threat prevention, and we're talking about sandboxing, and we're talking about endpoint sandboxing.
Threat intelligence feeds.
Threat intelligence feeds, right. And I think that that gets a lot of attention, even at a show like RSA, because it's always easy to talk about the new threat. But in the end of the day, I actually believe that all of these technologies, whether they be advanced threat detection or sandboxing or threat intelligence, really become a feature, just as antivirus became a feature. And ultimately, what persists over time are the platforms that protect the threat vectors. So an email security gateway, as an example, protects more than just spam, more than just email-borne viruses, more than just email distributed denial of service attacks. It also protects against email man in the middle and phishing and spear phishing and a whole other set of attacks. And so it's really about being positioned in the right place on the network and to really select a platform that becomes extensible and with a commercial model that allows new capabilities to be added as appropriate. And so by evangelizing total threat protection for us, we in many ways do not pursue buzzword compliance in the same way that a lot of other vendors do, where our aim is to go to our customers and say, look, it's not our job to necessarily educate you on all of the latest threats, because your ability to absorb all those threats with a limited IT staff is also limited. And so what we want to be doing is essentially providing the protection with platforms that protect each threat vector and take care of those different emerging threats all behind the scenes. So for example, even with advanced threat detection, we're including that in our next generation firewall platform today. So we actually have an advanced threat detection subscription that runs on top of our next generation firewall. We've been running advanced threat detection in the Barracuda cloud for quite some time as part of Barracuda Central. And the aim as we continue to move forward is to put that capability in our other platforms across all the other threat vectors. So it's just a different way of attacking the market. And I think it's that education that is difficult to pursue in a radio ad, in an airport ad, and with a lot of the other ways that we go to market. It's also a very, very difficult thing to get a channel partner, a reseller partner to re-articulate, because so much of the rest of the marketplace is still very threat focused, where we are threat vector and attack surface focused.
Got it. Is the message getting relayed to Europe and Asia at the same time?
Yeah, well, that's absolutely our attempt, and we're actually seeing that some of the adoption curves in both Europe and Asia are a bit different. I think that in the U.S. we get a platform to talk about what we're doing as we're seeing a migration from premises networks and premises managed systems to more towards SaaS and the public cloud. And so I think that this shift in IT deployments has created a forum for conversation here domestically in the United States that's been a little bit slower in Europe and Asia. But we're moving forward as a global platform to try to continue to pursue this educational path.
Great. So what's next for Barracuda?
Well, for us, we see a great future ahead, really in three axes. I think first is that within the markets that we play in, we think there's still plenty of growth. I'll use an example. Web application firewall and web application security is one of these markets, I think, that continues to be ripe for explosion. I was just over in the Verizon booth here at RSA, and one of the things they've been talking about are the statistics out of their data breach investigations report, the DBIR. And it turns out that the number one attack vector now that's led to breaches is web application vulnerabilities. Yet very few organizations really protect their websites. Most organizations think that if they put an IPS in front of their website, they're providing protection. But hey, guess what? An IPS doesn't block web app attacks in the same way that an IPS doesn't block spam.
Right.
You've got to be protocol aware.
Yep.
And so I think there's a lot of room in all of the areas where we provide protocol-aware solutions. So I think that's one vector. I think that there's another area for Barracuda where we have a preponderance of our customers that have just bought one thing from us. They've bought maybe spam filtering or web filtering or maybe load balancing or maybe backup. And really, as we pursue this total threat protection strategy, I believe there are 150,000 organizations just within our own installed base that have an opportunity to completely protect themselves. And then the third area, which I'm not really going to make announcements on, is that we continue to pursue new product areas. While Barracuda started as a spam filtering vendor, today we have over 15 products in our portfolio, and we're continuing to expand that.
Could that include acquisitions?
Absolutely. So about half the products in the Barracuda portfolio today are ones that we developed organically. About half of them are ones that we actually grew through acquisition.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Steve.
Well, thank you, Richard.